Regan's Corner. It's been a while since we did a little bit of the podcast side of things. We did interviews and this and that, but we got to get back to the bread and butter. My new co-host, Maddie from Ohio. Oh, okay. So, Maddie, how's it going? And how is it popping? And welcome to Regan's Corner, the OG podcast on this network.
Thank you. It's going pretty good. Just got home for spring break, which is great. It's a long drive, but we're here.
Absolutely. And speaking of us being here, the Aaron Rodgers saga. Okay. It looks like a little bit of a Brett Favre situation. Okay. May not want to smack up Brett Favre because the Pat McAfee situation, but it seems like a Brett Favre situation here in Green Bay. So kind of enlighten us with some spots that Aaron Rodgers can land up or retire.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Rodgers is obviously not ready, in my opinion, to go. He just won 2 back-to-back MVPs about a year ago. So I think he still has a lot of fight left in him. Going back to his start, he was actually drafted out of the University of California in the fourth pick, sorry. And what people don't really tend to remember is he was originally a backup for Brett Favre. He didn't come in starting. So he had a little, I wouldn't say a slow start, but he definitely didn't have the explosive, like, go right into being a starter that a lot of the start quarterbacks nowadays have. And since then, he's won a Super Bowl. He's a 4-time NFL MVP and a 10-time Pro Bowler, and he has a ton of other accomplishments and a lot of NFL records. He is also 39, so he is kind of going towards the end of his career, I'd say. So he's looking for some landing spots, and if he's going to stay, if he's going to go, or if he's just going to retire.
Absolutely. We talked a little bit about the Jets, but that looking like a kind of a good situation for Aaron Rodgers. You got a decent defense there with Sauce Gardner. You got a good defensive coach there, good coach overall. The offense is solid. I mean, all it needs is a quarterback because, Zach Wilson's pretty much that bust you kind of see every once and again.
Definitely. Speaking of Zach Wilson, he really did underperform for what they were expecting from him. And also that he's kind of lost respect in the locker room and with the coaching staff and even with the Jets fans. So the Jets franchise is definitely looking for somebody to fill in that leadership position in the quarterback. And also kind of, as you said, their offense is kind of starting to build. They have a lot of up and coming young players. Such as Garrett Wilson and even Breece Hall. And I personally think, especially coming off their most recent season, probably their best season in a very, very, very long time, if they get a quarterback, I feel like they can absolutely thrive.
Absolutely thrive, because other than hitting his bets to Cougars, he didn't do much last year, okay, with Zach Wilson. Not much at all. You got Mr. Mike White, who just signed a contract to the Miami Dolphins, who, in my opinion, was a much better quarterback. It's just when you're drafted second overall.
Exactly. You got to give it a shot there. And unfortunately for the Jets, I don't really see Zach Wilson being their franchise guy. Attitude-wise and also just skill-wise, it didn't really work with the way that they're coached and the kind of offensive scheme they're trying to run. Speaking of coaches and Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett is now the Jets offensive coordinator, and he was the offensive coordinator in Green Bay as well. So that could be another thing Aaron Rodgers is looking at. He's looking at coaches that he clicked with and really enjoyed.
Absolutely. But what's the chances that he reunites with Mr. Adams down in the Sin City there, Maddie?
Absolutely. That was another landing spot that I can totally see Aaron Rodgers landing in. The Raiders just parted ways with their longtime quarterback in Derek Carr. They're looking for somebody to fill that spot, and their offense they have so many tools in that offense, going from Devontae Adams, then you have Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow. There's just so many tools that he can use there. And he would go with his former wide receiver one, Davante Adams, which there aren't many wide receivers that are much better than him.
No, not on the planet. He's one of the best there is. Okay.
Absolutely.
Other than a horrible offensive line, the Raiders had a pretty good season last year. I mean, you get that tamper up, especially with Aaron Rodgers. The sky's the limit. If Josh McDaniels can get out of his own way as a head coach. But what is another landing spot for Aaron?
Another landing spot is probably the one that I feel as if most people are kind of still thinking he is going to end up, and it is the place he's been since 2005. It's Green Bay and the Green Bay Packers. He's been with this franchise for 18 years, and they have had many successes. Although there have been recently, ever since their Super Bowl win, they've had a ton of disappointments in the playoff seasons. And I think Aaron Rodgers has had a lot of frustration due to the fact that it seems to be the same old every year.
I mean, drafting his placements, other than drafting Mr. Claypool from Notre Dame, could have gone up the draft to get maybe a little bit of a wide receiver one with Davante Adams. You get CB Lamb in that draft with Davante Adams. You signed Adams to a long-year deal. He doesn't go to Las Vegas. You don't have the situation we have now. I mean, but Watson could be that one guy that you just say, holy crap, the steal of the draft kind of thing from 2 years ago. But his development, you could see it in the last part of the year, but it's not Adams. It's not somebody who like just sprinkle out. And with that offensive line, you need that in Green Bay because it's a little suspect. But like you said, I really don't see him leaving. I might see him retiring before he leaves, really. I think Aaron just likes the drama of every single thing. I love him, but he just likes kind of playing it out.
Yeah, it seems to be the past couple seasons. It's constantly been, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? And then they come up with these huge long contracts. And now I feel like if he's going to leave, I feel like this is a time that he would leave. Just because he is 39 years old and he wants another championship ring. And it has been proven that the Packers just aren't doing that for him. Their weapons are leaving. They're not gaining anything back. And right now, the Packers did not have a great season, and I don't know if next season will be any better with the current team they have. So I feel like if he would leave Green Bay, this would be the season he'd do it, just to try to go somewhere that could get him a quick ring, and maybe then he'd call it a career.
Absolutely. I mean, New York, though, they have a history of destroying things. Other than Joe Namath, okay, they haven't had anybody in the top 5 for MVPs, okay, and Rodgers has 3 of them, okay, so you bring that bad man to New York, probably the best spot for everybody involved. Packers can move on with Jordan Love. Don't know why you would want to, because reports, but okay, cool. You do you, Green Bay. But the Jets might actually fly out of the airport if they have Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely. I think if the Jets end up getting Aaron Rodgers, they are going to be one of the teams to beat. They are going to be very dangerous. They're finally going to get the missing piece that they have. I know I talked a lot about the offense, but the Jets defense is kind of the same way as the offense. They're very up and coming. They have a ton of great guys on that side of the field. And I just think they're missing that one piece in a quarterback. And I personally think that New York is the best place for Aaron Rodgers to go right now with the options that he has. I feel like out of all the teams he's looking at, they would automatically be in playoff contention. I think they would automatically have a chance to go on a run in the playoffs and maybe even get a ring. That would be insane for the New York Jets to end up getting a ring. That would definitely be something that would make the internet break.
Absolutely. Speaking of internet breaks, here's an outsider take. What if he goes home? What if he goes to the 49ers? Okay. I know Sam Darnold just made that deal, but wouldn't Sam Darnold be a perfect bridge for Green Bay and Jordan Love? Because
I know. When I was taking notes, there's so many possible landing spots for Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? Maybe 49ers, exactly. That's his hometown team. He grew up rooting for the 49ers. And I think the 49ers are, if not one of the best team in the league all the way around, defense, offense, everything. If he goes to the 49ers, they are, in my opinion, 100% going to go on a playoff run. I think it would be completely overpowered if he ends up going to the 49ers.
absolutely. And that would be a nice sign and trade. Okay. Because you want Jordan Love to start, but you want somebody to compete with him in the offseason. Okay. Absolutely. So Sam Darnold would fit that perfectly for him. And plus the picks, this and that, a couple first rounders for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, even though San Francisco had a great year last year, you had a couple pieces here and there to Green Bay, and then you go this and that. If you're hunting for a franchise quarterback in that situation, why not San Francisco for Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely. I could not agree more. That's absolutely a possibility with Aaron. He is definitely looking through his options, and I think we might be surprised by where he ends up. Or even if he's done playing, if he decides to retire, which personally I don't see it going that way. I think he's still in his prime years, considering he won back-to-back MVPs the year before this one. I still think he has a lot left to give to a team. And I think he could end up being like Tom Brady and playing another 5 years at least.
Absolutely. He's also chasing that other ring to make him mortalized with the greats like Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, okay, John Elway. I can't say his name since I'm a Colts fan, but that Brady cat from New England said Tampa Bay. Okay, probably the GOAT. But let's get to the Lamar Jackson of it all, okay? Because that's a little interesting. A guy really in his prime, okay? About 25, 26. Franchise tag. But you look around the league there, Maddie. You got Daniel Jones signed to a contract. You got all these guys that's not even half the skill of Lamar Jackson signed to these big deals. What's going on in Baltimore?
Honestly, I am completely shocked by this. Lamar Jackson is only 26. He has an NFL MVP award. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He won the Heisman in college. I cannot believe that the Ravens have their franchise guy. This is the guy who is going to take them to a hopeful championship. There are very few quarterbacks out there who are as good as Lamar Jackson right now, and they are not giving him the amount of guaranteed money that he is seeking. And I just think it's crazy. If any other big name quarterback wanted the money, I feel like they'd get it, but Lamar's just not getting it.
No. Have a Mahomes-like stat line for them to even look at the money line, which, I mean, MVP, the only thing it doesn't have is a championship, to be honest with you at this point. And a lot of it have to do with the line. I mean, in a way, their offense is kind of structured and this and that. Any quarterback is not going to be healthy after 2 or 3 years consistently. But what are some landing spots for Lamar if they decide to go that route?
There are also, just like Aaron Rodgers, there are tons of landing spots for Lamar. Sorry. The first one, I believe, is somewhere that I really see him. I really see him staying in Baltimore. They just need to work out this contract, and they also need to find him weapons. Lamar Jackson does not have the weapons that Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen has. If Lamar Jackson had the weapons that every quarterback who is like the superstar, the MVP candidates, he would be up there contending with them. The Ravens' record would be so much better. They would have so much more of a chance to get into the playoffs, make a run, even win a championship. Lamar Jackson has so much potential, and being in Baltimore without weapons is really harming his legacy. He is 26, but he's not getting any younger. They're going to waste his prime with wide receivers and running backs who don't have the skill level that other wide receivers and running backs do. If they restructure, if they figure out his contract, give him the money and find him some weapons or draft him some weapons, I don't see why he would leave Baltimore. He's loved there, he's respected there, and I just don't see why they aren't offering the money he's wanting.
Yeah, I don't see it either. They can say it's injury and this and that he's whatever, but here's one. After the car situation and this and that, but Las Vegas, again, if Josh McDaniels gets out of his own way, you got a bunch of weapons right there. You got Waller, you got Adams. So you can even have a couple free, maybe an Odell sprinkled in there. Right? Who knows? So I mean, okay. So I would say Las Vegas is, again, probably a prime spot for Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely. I think any quarterback on the market would love to go to Las Vegas with the amount of weapons they have. They really just need that missing piece in there at quarterback. Much like the New York Jets, they just need that quarterback in there. They need the leadership. They need somebody to take their team. The Raiders also have a good amount of cap space to offer Lamar Jackson a contract that he is looking for. Because I know that that's the issue with the Ravens is they aren't giving him the amount of money and the amount of guaranteed money that he's wanting. So they have enough to do that. They have tons of weapons. And I think they could be a prime landing spot for him just as much as it is for Aaron Rodgers right now.
Absolutely. Las Vegas is a golden arm kind of town, okay? But it is what it is, okay? So let's get into the next news plate. Maddie, hit me.
The next news, or the next landing spot that I have is the Falcons. Right now they have their quarterback in Desmond Ridder that they drafted. And although he has potential, Lamar has established himself as a superstar in the league. Especially for the Falcons as people who are in the division that is rebuilding. He has a lot of potential to go in there and win a division title if they get Lamar. There's more weapons down there than there is in Baltimore. I think most teams in the league have more weapons than Baltimore does. And they also have a ton of cap space to give him that contract he wants again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's an outside kind of feel here. It's kind of, but not really. Indianapolis, okay? You can do a sign and trade with Lamar to Indianapolis, okay? You can even package Leonard or you can package Cousin Nelson, okay? Big Q. As a Colts fan, I don't want Big Q to go, okay? So you can have Leonard, okay? And you can also have the 4th overall pick, okay? As long as we get a franchise quarterback, okay? Because as a Colts fan, Maddie, okay, I was spoiled with Peyton Manning, okay? And maybe 1 or 2 years with Andrew Luck. I'll admit it, okay? Still a little salty the way he retired, okay? But we need a quarterback, okay? I mean, Will Levis, okay, cool. The guy from Florida, Richardson, cool, fine, could develop into solid quarterbacks. But we need that that guy, in Indy, because the Colts had Unitas, okay? We had Elway for maybe a day, okay? And we had Jim McMahon, okay? Right now, I mean, not McMahon, okay? I'm getting confused with quarterback, whatever. But anyway, we had Mr. Harbaugh. Okay, we had John Harbaugh for a while. Okay, I don't want to go back into the Harbaugh days. Okay, because we're getting the Harbaugh days right now. So I want to go back to that Peyton Manning days where you're competing for championships. Have those boys in New England maybe stop us or something like that, or this or that. I mean, it would be Kansas City now, obviously, but I mean, I just want to go back to that. They didn't have to trade up the Carolinas pick and get Bryce Young. Go ahead, but I think the best option for Indy is to trade and get me some Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely. As a Browns fan, it would be helpful to get Lamar out of the division. He is unstoppable every time we play him. So, never know. In terms of where I think he would most likely end up, I feel like he's going to stay in Baltimore. I feel like there are a lot of options for him, but I just feel like these options have not been talked about by the media as much as the Jets or the Raiders for Aaron Rodgers. And that could also just be another thing, like the media doesn't pay attention to Lamar. He doesn't take Lamar seriously, which is not something you should do because Lamar Jackson is a superstar in the league. But I think the Ravens are just trying to hold out as long as possible to see if he's going to budge. And then they're going to realize this is insane. We're not offering him this money. And they're going to give him the contract he wants eventually.
Eventually. But speaking of people that got contracts, that was kind of surprising. The New Orleans Saints getting Mr. Derek Carr. That's a good move. Okay.
I was shocked because of the Saints are in a crazy cap space problem right now. I think they're like either the worst in cap space or like the second to worst. So I was insanely shocked that they found a way to get Derek Carr right now.
Absolutely. You need a leader in that locker room, especially when Alvin Kamara is kind of in and out with troubles. Michael Thomas, like what is he doing? I mean, the only reliable weapon they have is Chris Olave, but he's only a rookie, so I don't know if he stays the kid he was at Ohio State or if he goes and kind of does what Michael Thomas did and kind of blow up first 2 years and then injuries and then kind of the Andrew Luck kind of mentality where like he's just beat up. But yeah, so next topic there, Maddie.
Yeah, I think that whole division is going to be like super interesting to watch. There are a bunch of teams that are rebuilding, and I'm genuinely curious who's gonna pull out the title.
Absolutely. So that's been our first episode in a while here. Stay froggy, my friends, and we're welcome Maddie every single week. So stay froggy, my friends.